Good afternoon and welcome back to another ironic introduction to another video. Today I'll be doing my October review and November forecast. As always, there are plenty of timestamps in the description if you want to skip the read aloud, skip the October review, etc, etc. Check that out, as well as a link to the forum if you'd rather read up yourself. That said, I want to start with talking about October. I've already mentioned it a lot on the live streams, but I think this is by far one of the worst months we've had as far as interesting content. It's nice that this is only the second month of Cavalier Monthly, and I think that the 10% Tier 5 Class Catalyst objective was very, very reasonable, and that's all fine and good, but it was pretty much the same set of node combinations, which made the month very dull. Like, the first time around, it was really exciting. Even though it was longer, it was okay. This time around, it made it way, way dull. Pretty much just feeling like I was doing the same thing as last month, which is not something I like to see in the form of interest, but in the form of, you know, consistency, that there is a lot of promise there. And in the long run, as I get like rank 3s or something, it'll be less tedious, but it just brings me back to, it's like 9 to 10 hours of grinding when you have like a developed roster for really subpar rewards. I really do want to see like 2,500 more 6-star shards, you know, at the very least, like literally at the very least, that's what I'm looking for. It just doesn't feel like it's really worth the time, and as a result, I've actually spent a lot of time playing other games this month. Not to mention, this month's side event is just absolutely blows my mind that they're like, oh, you have this daily you need to run, and then after you run the daily, you have to run this other quest, which instead of just doing 4 of on a typical monthly, you have 5 of it instead, and then that quest is incredibly roster specific, and it was really lackluster. I didn't feel like the quest was hard if you have the right answers or you're bringing the right champions, but if you don't have those, there is some incredibly frustrating fights that I just felt like were completely unnecessary. And then they had this whole boost system, this soul boost system, which is supposed to make it better for you, and there are situations where you can use the detrimental effect to your advantage, but again, it just really drives home that point of roster specific, because even then, the detrimental part of the soul boost required you to have specific champions to be able to utilize it when you're already using a resource you had to grind in order to get the boost in the first place. And all of that is actually a really clever and really neat event design if we saw an increased value in rewards to accommodate the extra quantity of effort. We didn't. So for me, this month was really lackluster. I know some people disagree, but I know that I spent about 45 to an hour longer in the monthly event, and that's including my 4-star run last month. So that's not really great to see. Just kind of based on the way they handled the month, it was just longer. Even though it was less paths, I spent longer periods of time in the content. And then second, the side event is just, you know, we really needed to see something more exciting than that. But this next month does look good. I do see some really good promise here, as well as some things that are worth noting, but I'm optimistic. I'm always optimistic, and we know November is the month of Cyber Weekend deals, so we know Kabam has got to really ramp it up. Otherwise, their wallet's gonna hurt. So that said, let me dive into next month's side event, which is Gamma-Rama Good Times. A smashing good time. Ever wondered what would it be like to have gamma blood coursing through your veins? So do we. Can you dig it? It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's Immortal Hulk Mania. This month we're dealing in nothing but gamma radiation, so suit up. Here's how you can get in on the action. Log in every day to claim 1 gamma gauntlet. These gauntlets will give you access to shadow-based raids. You have 30 minutes to complete a raid. In that time, you will defeat as many bosses as you can and collect gamma radiation upon winning each fight. Note that each raid costs 1 gamma gauntlet. In other words, 1 gamma gauntlet buys you 30 minutes in the raid. No more, no less. Did I mention that each day sports a different themed raid? You will get to experience 7 different themes for raids, which means you will get to fight a certain variety of champions each day. Word on the street is that Joe Fixit's been on the market for some of that green stuff. Once you have a worthy stash, head on over to Fixit's Fine Goods and see what they'll give you for it. And just in case you need an extra nudge, look out for the Gamma Galore Spend event, happening all through the month. The more you spend, the more you gain. Shadow-based raid starts on 11/4/2020 and ends on 12/2/2020. You approach the raid path. You hand over a gauntlet, a small price for entry to potential glory. You are told that you have 30 minutes to complete the path. Should you fail to complete the path today, you should return when you have more gauntlets to trade for entry. What you earn is what you will keep despite any failed attempts to complete the path. You have been enlisted. You hear a faint ticking. Tick, tick, tick. Time, 30 minutes. 10 fights, 9 plus a boss. Opponents are random. Difficulty is heroic, master, epic, and legendary. Rewards, gamma radiation. You emerge, tired, hungry, but victorious. You glance curiously at the units of gamma radiation you fought so hard to obtain. What's Joe got cooking up with all this green stuff anyway? You shudder at the thought of the inevitable destruction. If Joe harnessed the power of the formidable green, you ponder no further. For one who has survived this long in the contest knows not to question when Joe Fixit is up to no good. You take one more look at the raid path behind you, wondering if this will all be worth whatever Fixit is willing to pay. You point your toes due south, where one fine establishment stands. Fixit's Fine Goods. Some FAQ. How many Gamma Gauntlets do we receive per day? 1. Can I accumulate Gamma Gauntlets instead of using one each day? Yes, you can. Remember, though, it does cost 1 gauntlet per 30-minute raid. How many raid themes are there? 7. No, there will not be others. What happens to the raid path after 30 minutes? What if I leave, quit, exit the path? It closes and resets on both. How do I earn gamma radiation from the raids? Do I have to finish the path in order to get the gamma radiation? Short answer, no. Every time you defeat a champion, you get gamma radiation, and you get it after finishing the fight. So if you do all of them, you get more. If you do less, you get less. Can I do the same raid path again? Yes. Whether or not you manage to complete the raid path, you can participate in the same raid path multiple times, so long as you have gauntlets to spare. You arrive at Fixit's Fine Goods, so you will be purchasing your rewards this month with the gamma radiation that you pick up, kind of similar to Squirrel Girls event with the nuts. Here's the rewards. I'll talk about that later. Gamma Galore Spent event. Here is the overall theme. I'll go over that later. Solo objectives. Complete solo objectives to earn even more gamma radiation. Cavalier players, an additional set of solo objectives will be available to you and only you. More on gamma radiation. In case you're wondering where the gamma radiation is hiding, then they go over it here. Solo objectives will have some special 7-day calendar, and the arena will have some as well. And these are the maximum numbers. Now, there is a new mechanic. Let's get to the root of it. Exciting news, summoners. A new gameplay mechanic is being introduced in this meta event. A new effect type. Root. What does it do? When rooted, a champion's movement is locked. You can still perform any action, but you won't move from your location when doing so. So for example, you can still dodge special attacks with dexterity, parry, and use your own special attacks. Unless a global buff says otherwise, you just won't do any lateral movement associated with those actions. We hope to explore this new effect on further global buffs or even character buffs for players to use. So make sure to try them out and let us see what you think. Where do I see it? Each day on every difficulty there will be a global buff that uses root in a slightly different way to give you a feel for it. The difficulty has been tuned around these buffs, so there shouldn't be too much complexity going on around them unless you want to take a swing at legendary, where an extra wrinkle has been added to keep you on your feet. Where can I share my feedback? We really want player feedback on this feature. I can't stress that enough. Any thoughts, ideas, tweaks, anything. We want to get more spicy gameplay ideas in front of you guys in the coming months, and we want to hear all of your suggestions and feedback around its implementation. A separate forum post has been set up for you to share. There's a hyperlink there. Your thoughts on the buffs after playing around, and we'll be keeping a close eye on other channels too to hear your thoughts. Even if you don't have suggestions, just general thoughts and impressions are appreciated. So, we got a lot. I'll stick a timestamp here for those of you who want to skip. From the event perspective itself, I'm really excited. This is one of my favorite styles of events, essentially where you go and you accumulate points and then you buy it. Shop events are really nice. It allows flexibility. Typically, you see slightly better rewards in the favor of selectivity, so that has a lot of potential. They didn't give us costs, so I can't actually do a proper analysis of that yet, but I do expect to see that. I do have the totals of some of the big stuff you can buy, and then they give us like the quantity amount you can earn, which is really good to know. So I'll cover that here real quick. So on this spreadsheet in the top left here, I apologize for how small it is on the screen. In the top left here, I have, this is the total on the left if you only do the uncollected level quality. So this is assuming you do uncollected or a master and epic. This is assuming you run the uncollected difficulty. They give us the points here. So this is assuming you've done uncollected. I'm skipping the master and the hard for now. It's assuming you run epic for the base raids, and then you do all the objectives, the special 7-day calendar, and the arena. And it comes out to a total of 894,000 points, which, to be noted, is 106,000 points shy on the spending event of the 5-star featured. So you do need to dip into other categories, either like partially master, partially hard, as well as a couple days of legendary on the shadow base raids and like actually capping out there in order to properly get that 5-star featured as an uncollected player. Now, if you're Cavalier, the total number of points is 1,844,000, which is notably, only including uncollected and Cavalier. So there's still a little more points than master, and it's only assuming you're running legendary. So this does give you a little more than 300,000 of leeway on the 1.5 million points spend event, but that doesn't really give me an idea of how many of these items in Fix It Finds Goods that you'll be able to buy, because they haven't listed a price here. So I'm not sure. So in order to address the rewards themselves and see if it really feels up to snuff, first I want to comment, I love seeing tier 1 alpha. 5 is a good amount. There's 4 tier 4 basic, which is a little less than I like seeing, but it's still a good amount, so that's nice to have. And it's nice to have both. It's 20 5-star signature stones in uncollected and an additional 60 in Cavalier, which is a really solid amount. But that also tells me that if you're getting 80 signature stones in the event, I don't think you're going to be able to buy out uncollected and Cavalier. There's probably going to be some cherry picking involved here. And then we have, the retinue of the other stuff, which I have numbers here. So in total, if you get all of the 6-star shards in the event, there's 5,250. So not really an increase there. It is technically 250 more, but it's really not worth talking about. For 5 stars, there's 27,000 plus a singular featured 5-star crystal, which is actually a really good amount of 5 stars. So I do like this quantity here, but again, that probably comes with selectivity. There's 2.5 tier 2 alpha, which is better, but we've seen 3 tier 2 alpha previously, and I'd really like to come back to that point. Like, it feels like they brought Cavalier event out, and then they lowered the quantity of tier 2 alpha. So I'd really like to move back into 3,4 tier 2 alpha from the event. I just think that would be nice and really fix the whole like deflated value on the rewards they gave us. They kind of hyped us up. We were doing better before Cavalier monthly event came out on tier 2 alpha, strange as it is. And then tier 5 basic, 78%. This is pretty standard, and I'm okay with that. So overall, rewards are a little bit better, but definitely not anything to really chalk up. I think what makes the rewards better this time around is the style of the event. 300 fights, if you're pretty much capping out on whatever the max is, and legendary doesn't sound that bad. The Squirrel Girl event wasn't too bad. Overall, it was the same nodes. It took a couple days to get accommodated to or get used to, but if you're a regular player, just wait for a YouTuber to do it for you, honestly, and check out what the nodes are, and then you can know and you can go in and figure it out. That's pretty much my only complaint when it comes to these events, is because it consumes your entry. You can't like rearrange your roster. I really wish they put the change champion node like right at the beginning. That way we can jump in, see the nodes, see the champions, and then adjust our roster rather than going in blind. But small things. There's also a 5-star awakening gem, which is nice. That always shows up on like events they want to have a little more pizzazz to them. And overall, I really like the way they distributed the rewards. I think it's pretty solid, so it should be hopefully at least a decent event this month. I don't know what the solo objectives will entail. I imagine the regular solo objectives will have some extra small benefits besides gamma radiation. We might see like a tier 4 basic or 2 in there, because there's only 4 in the shop. But other than that, I'm not really sure. And the Cavalier objectives, I'm almost positive, will just be the tier 5 class catalyst. But I do want to comment, there are no 6-star signature stones. So I wouldn't be surprised to see 6-star signature stones in the Cavalier objectives as well, because normally we get like 10 and there's none here. So that is kind of surprising. And then finally on the new mechanic. Now, this root mechanic, it sounds interesting, and to a degree I understand the concept of needing to add complexities to the game. It also screams bugs, it screams errors, it screams issues to me. You know, someone asked here like a really good question. They said, hey, what would happen if you're attacking the opponent and you're rooted? Let me see if I can find it. I can't. So somewhere in here I saw someone ask, maybe it wasn't this post, it was somewhere else. Someone said, what if you're attacking? I haven't seen a response to that, but that's a really good question. What, you know, you can't attack, the opponent is knocked back. Does that mean you're only going to get one hit? Does that mean we're stuck on a parry heavy play style? What happens if you're rooted and they are stun immune? You know, like, is that just going to be a major pain we have to figure out? How does this impact you know, all kinds of things? And I think that brings up a lot of really good questions. So it's just a matter of seeing it in action before I really draw my conclusions. I think there's a lot of potential. I think it's really cool. I think it has a lot of really, really neat options, especially if it's something you can interact with, shrug it off in some way, become root immune. I imagine we'll see root immune champions sometime in the future. And I think all of that has really good potential, unless this is just a passive effect. But overall, I honestly can't say, because it's a new mechanic, I need to see it. I just do walk in with caution for the potential for a lot of issues. So that said, those are my thoughts on next month. Let me know what you think. As always, I'll talk to you all later. Peace.